Welcome everybody for the fourth day of the Code Vita problem solving session. And what is going to be the agenda today? One, we want to do a simple problem because a lot of queries have been there. A lot of people have been asking, sir, I'm from mechanical department. I'm from biotechnology department. I don't have much of C information. Will I be able to do it? Will all the problem be as complicated as it has been? Actually speaking, TCS expects you to be good at the basics, nothing more. So we were hunting for a problem and then we found that the sample problem what have been given by TCS this year itself is a excellent example of what TCS is expecting from candidates. So we picked up square free numbers and then we started working on that, and then we found that as I had mentioned, all you have to be strong in the basics of the schools. So let's start, and post that there have been queries about heap and stack, and there have been a couple of queries about other things too. So depending upon the time that takes today, definitely I will teach you on heap and stack, because people seem to be a little confused. When should I choose to use heap? When should I choose to use stack? Does it really matter? For example, if you remember, I had said for the divine factors, it's a grave mistake to make an array in the stack, because the number is huge and you need to go down till the square root, and buying such a huge memory in the stack is a criminal mistake. That will slow down your program a lot. Not only that, you slow down your entire system. So you should know what resources are there, what is the architecture of your the process, and then accordingly we need to do. Maybe the boy who did that was not a computer science student, I presume. So let's go ahead. Fine. So once again, welcome you. So, on behalf of Fine Mind, Innovative and with you, I welcome you for today's session. What is the problem? Problem statement is going to be square free numbers. So let's look at the problem statement. Fine. Let's listen from the horse's mouth. Exactly what they had mentioned. In the theory of numbers, look at it, they have clearly said in the theory of numbers. It means in number theory. Isn't it sufficient for all of you people to know the importance of number theory? Isn't it sufficient for all of you people to run behind number theory book, maybe Thomas Cauchy, and start reading it? Okay, square free numbers have a special place. A square free number is one that is not divisible by a perfect square other than 1. Problem description. In the theory of numbers, square free numbers have a special place. A square free number is one that is not divisible by a perfect other than 1. Thus, 72 is divisible by 36 and it is not a square free number. But 70 has other factors. For example, 1, 2, 5, 7. Let's read this. Okay. But 70 has factors 1, 2, 5, 7, 10, 14, 35 and 70. As none of these are perfect squares other than 1, 70 is a square free number. So given a number, you should find out whether it is a square free number, right? So for some algorithms, it is important to find out the square free numbers that divide a number. Okay, so input, output, let's have a look at it. What do they want? Okay, 20. If we list the numbers that divide 20, they are 1, 2, 4, 5, 10 and 20. Leave out 1. 4 is a perfect square and 20 is divisible by 4. Leave them out. So 2 and 5 are being prime, are square free, and 10 is divisible by 1, 2, 5 and 10. None of them are perfect squares. Hence, the square free numbers that divide 20 are 2, 5 and 10. Hence the result 3. So what should you find out? You should find out how many of the factors are square free for a number. How many of the factors are square free for a given number. Now you would find that you have more clarity. You need to spend some time. I'm just finding out. We have gone 3 minutes. Let's just take one more example. 72. That numbers that divide 72 are, okay, which means that the factors of 72 are 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 8, 9, 12, 18, 24, 36 and 72. Leave out 1. So 4, 9 and 36 are perfect squares. So all we need to do is find out the multiples of 4. So 4, 8, 12, 18, 24, 72 are divisible. Leave it. Then pick up 9. So when you finish off, all you will be left out is 2, 3 and 6. So the result is 3. Clear? You're not going to find out whether a given number is a square free number or not. You need to find out for a given number how many factors are square free. Okay. Looks little complicated. Okay. So how did we? One, you would find the straightforward. TCS has given the tag as easy. Okay. Where is that? Complexity, simple. Okay, it's not easy, it is simple. Time limit is 1 second for 20 test cases. The test cases have been, they have listed it down. I have not brought it over here. Maybe we will have our own test cases. Of course, we have picked up some of the test cases of them too. Right? Perfect. So let's pick up. For our comfort's sake, for our understanding, what have I done? I have picked up some more values. So let's say 5040 is the number given to us. So the first thing, I have written all the factors of 5040. Leave out 1. Knock him off. Now 2. So anybody 2 is also 2 is a square free number, leave it. 3 is a square number, leave it. 4 is a square number. So start removing from 4. 4 removed. All multiples of 4. 8 removed. 12 removed. 16 removed. 20 removed. 24 removed. 36 removed. 40 removed. Okay, 48 removed. 60 removed. 56 also removed. Okay. 63, 70, 72 removed. 80 removed. 84 removed. Okay. 90 leave it. 105 leave it. 112 remove. 120 remove. 26 leave it. 140 remove. 144 remove. 168 remove. 180 remove because it was before. 210 leave it. 240 remove. 252 remove. 280 remove. 15 leave it. Remove. 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 So these are divisible by 4 gone. Which is the next square? It is 9. It is 9. So remove 9 because 9 is divisible by 9. And 9 is 18 and 35. No. Sorry. 45. Remove. 63. Remove. 90. Remove. 126. Remove. 315. Remove. 630. Remove. So these are the numbers who are left out. Check out anybody else. Fine. So how many of them are there? Let's count out. Okay. Starting from the beginning, it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Divisible by 4. No. 13, 14 and 15, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 16. Am I making a mistake anywhere? Check it out. So 4, just check out, just 4 all. 4. Okay, because One mistake you make becomes really difficult. Okay, check it out. All is well, perfect. Now let us find out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. There are 15 numbers. Okay, cool. Then we'll go down and I have picked up another number 720. Don't bother. I have done my homework. It will be easier for us. Remove off 1 first of all. 2 is not a square, leave it. 3 is not a square, leave it. 4 is a square. So remove 4 and any number that is divisible by 4. So 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 36, 40, remove, and 48, 60, 72, 80, all of them can be removed. 90, 120 can be removed, 144, leave it, 180 remove, 240 remove, 360, 720, all of them can be removed. So all of them are divisible by 4. So remove all of them. Cool. And next is 9. So 9 is a square which is going to be divisible by 9, so you can remove the 9. And then 18 you can remove, and 45 you can remove. Paka, 90 you can remove, 144 you can, all of them are divisible by 9. Now do you understand the importance of divisibility rule? How quick I did it? Because I know the basic, the divisibility rule, and it is going to be 7. Okay, cool. So it looks like the common solution which everybody immediately arrives at is, okay, it's a common solution. Get all the factors done. Because for example, if you have been watching our videos, we know that go till the square root, okay, have the Jodi, perfect, and then you can do that perfectly alright. Okay, you can quickly do it and then start moving, check whether it is a, okay, remove the 1 as usual, okay, 2, leave it, 3, leave it. Now which means I should find out whether it is a square, and then from that particular point go till the entire numbers and remove off all of them. So let's do it once again. 4. This seems to be the algorithm. Algorithm seems to be generate all the factors, store them, leave out the 1 alone, okay, because 1 is not going to be considered. Then find out the first square, move the entire list, knock all the numbers that are divisible. Go to the next one, find the next square, go until the end. Okay, now this looks okay, but you look at the size 10 to the power of 9, there has got to be something. I mean, see, it is simple. Understand, it is simple. When we don't know, it becomes complicated. And when we know, it is simple. And TCS is not asking us something which we do not know. It is, we know, but we don't know that we know. That is the problem. I'm not talking like any rhythmic phrases. Honestly, I'm telling you, every one of you know, but you do not know that you know, and that is where the problem is. Okay, so 4, knock it off. Okay, let's be patient. 8, knock it off. 12, knock it off. 16, knock off. 20, knock off. 24, knock off. 36, 40, knock off. 44, knock off. 48, knock off. 56, knock off. 60, knock off. 66, leave it. 70, leave it. 72, knock off. Divisible by 4. 80, looking at all numbers divisible by 4. 84, 88, knock off. 112, knock off. If you want to know how am I doing, for example, larger digit, we should know divisibility of 4. Look at only the last 2 digits. Okay, so 20 is divisible, which means you can knock off. 26 is not. 32 divisible. 40 divisible. 44 divisible. 54 knock. Okay, so 65, 68 knock off. 76, think. Yes, knock off, divisible. 180, knock off. 198, leave it. 210, leave it. 220, knock off. 240, knock off. 252, knock off. Right? Good. 252, knock off. 264, 280, 308, knock off. See, most of the numbers are going divisible by 3 itself. Okay, divisible by 4. 330, 336, 60, knock off. Good. 96, 420, knock off. 440, 462, 440, knock off. At 462 be there. 495 be there. 504, 528, 560, 516, 616, knock off. 630, 660, knock off. 720, knock off. 792, 840, 880, knock off. 24, 6 4s are 24, knock off. 90, no. 1008, knock off. 1232, 1260, 1320, knock off. This guy, knock off. All of them are divisible before. 2520, 2640, 2770, 80, knock off. You can see like most of them would go off. See, even if you are going to take the process of taking that and if you're knocking off, you can see a lot of numbers are going to be knocked off. Okay, but the only problem is 10 to the power of 9. 9 is an alarm. Okay, 96, yes. 60, yes. 20, yes. 40, yes. 44, yes. 60, yes. Most of them are going off. Okay, 20, 40, 88, 60, 80, knock off. And of course, the last two also you can knock it off, 20 and 40. So all of them are done. So you can see when you leave out 4, everything is going off. 9. Once again, what is the rule for 9? Sum of digit is going to be 9. So 8 in knock off. Okay, then sum is going to be 9. 45, knock off. 63, knock off. 90, kick him. 99, done. And then 126, done. 198, done. 315, done. 630, 693, done. 990, done. 3465, 6930, done, both of them. So 9 knocks off these numbers. So knock off the 9 also. Good. Next is going to be any other square. Look at it. No other square. So let's count it out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, divisible by 4. Okay, so 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30 and 31. Just check out anything else. Anything else? Just check it out. Cool. Once checked out. Okay. So 4 divisibility. Anybody there? Check it out. Okay. You can just pass a comment in case if I missed out anything. Cool. And we talked of 9. Check out the 9 once again. Before actually I'm concentrating on the time to 10 lakhs. Okay, fine. You have enough amount of time. Let's go cool once again. Okay. 9, 9, no. Look at that. That's what I'm telling you. You got to be very careful. 495. How do I find out? So it's going to be 18. Divisible by 9. Okay. Check out once again. Cool. Once verify once again. 4 and 9 looks okay. Okay, let's just count it out now. So 1, 2. Okay, let me mark it for you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 14, 15, 16, 18, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 6, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31 and 32. Fine. Paka. just have a verification once again, because we shouldn't make mistakes. All is well. Check it out, because we have to be very sure. Okay. So can we count once again? Let me once again do it. Looks okay for me. Looks okay for me. Okay. I might make a mistake. There's always a possibility human beings make mistakes. Okay, I'm a human being. So we can count. Okay, let me count once again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 32. Okay, perfect. Okay, here we have 32. Okay, good. And here this is 65536. So one leave it. 2 is not square. 4. Okay, 4 is knocked off. 8 knocked off. 16 knocked off. 32 knocked off. 64 knocked off. 128 knocked off. 256 knocked off. 512 knocked off. 1024. 2048. 4096. 8192. 16384. Everybody getting knocked off. Pakka. It means only 1. Okay. That's why it's finding alarming, because you will find that the initial we had 7, and then we had 15, and then we have 1. This guy is alone sounding even. That is why I was very specific about it. Even if I'm not very convinced about it. Let's have a look at it. Anybody divisible by 4? Oh my god, I love myself. Okay, anybody divisible by 4? 10, 86, no. Okay, 55, no. 70, no. 62, no. 85, no. 30, no. 31, no. 10, no. 65, no. 54, no. 10, no. 5, no. 7, no. 70, 66, no. 55, 42, 35, 33, 30, 22, 21, 6, 15. Pakka, all is well. Done. I knocked off the 4 also. 9 we knocked off. 9, 9, 9, 9, 9, 9, 9, 9, 9, 9, 9, 9, 9, 9, 9, 2, 3, 1, 3, 3, 0, 3, 8, 5, no. 12, no. 7, no. Look at the culprit. He is not the culprit. I am the culprit. He has been there waiting for me to identify. I have been moving like an idiot. Okay, a human being, right? Human beings, we always blame others. So answer is 31. Okay, cool. So the algorithm, what we have done is, what we thought we're doing is completely write all the factors. Start from the beginning. You check whether it's a square number, knock off. But let's have a closer look. Okay, let's have a closer look. What are when we looked at it, okay, look at the numbers. 2, 3, 5 and 7. These are the prime factors of the number. Once, if you really understand, a composite number is a product of prime numbers. For example, 10 is 2 into 5. 14 is 2 into 7. 15 is 3 into 5. 21 is 3 into 7. 30 is 2 into 3 into 5. So let us just write down one after the other. 10 is, okay, let's start from 6. 2 into 3. Okay, then 10 is 2 into 5. 10 is 2 into 5. Okay, and 14 is 2 into 7. I'm just grouping so that it will be easier for you to look at it. 2 into 7. Okay, 2 into 7. Okay, and 10 we have written, 6 we have written pakka. And then let's look at it. 6 done, 10 done. 15. 15 is 3 into 5. 15 is 3 into 5. And 21 is 3 into 7. 21 is 3 into 7. And 30 is 2 into 3 into 5. And 42 is 21 into 2, which means 2 into 3 into 7. And 70 is 10 into 7, which means 2 into 5 into 7. And 105 is 35 into, no, 15 into 7. It means 3 into 5 into 7. And all numbers have been covered. Check it out. Oh, 35 is missing. Okay. 5 into 7. Done. So we have how many here? 15. We have 4 here. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 210. 210 is 2 into 3 into 5 into 7. From 4, we have taken 1, 2, 3, 5, 7. From 4 to 3, these are the, look at it, these are the prime factors. 2, 3, 5 and 7. So all the other factors are also made of this. And look at 2, 3, 5, 7, how it is made. With these are 4 numbers. These are 4 numbers. So from the 4 numbers, you pick up 1, you'll have 4 combinations. You pick up 2, you'll have 6 combinations. You pick up 3, you have 4 combinations. You pick up 4, 1 combination, which means this becomes 1, this becomes 6, this becomes 4, and this becomes 1. Hence it is 15. Does it sound something which we know? I don't know. Let's check it out. How about this? So we have 2, 3 and 5. So from this I pick up 2, 3 and 5. Good. Now 6 is 2 into 3. 6 is 2 into 3. 10 is 2 into 5. 15 is 3 into 5. And 30 is 2 into 3 into 5. Oh my god. So from 3, you pick 1, you'll have 3 options. From 3, you pick up 2, you'll have 3 options. 2, 3, 2, 5, 3, 5. And 3, 1 option, which means 3 plus 1. So it's going to be 1. Okay, I missed out anything? 2, 3, 2, 5, 3, 5. Okay, I missed out anything? 7 numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm sorry. Here it is 3. 3. Here it is 3. And here it is 1. 7. From 3, you pick up 1. From 3, you pick up 2. From 3, you pick up 3. You add all of them. From 4, you pick up 1. From 4, you pick up 2. From 4, you pick up 3. From 4, you pick up 4. 1, 6, 4, 1. Does that sound like a formula? Exactly. NCR. NC0 plus NC1. Look at the same here. How does it work like this? We'll find out. Relax. It's a long number. Okay. The prime factors are 2, 3, 5, 7 and 11. So from 5, if you take 1 each, 2, 3, 5, 7 and 11. Now if I take a 2 combinations, I'm not even looking at the number, I'm going to write the combinations. 2 and 3 will be a combinations, right? And then 2 and 5, I'm not looking at the number at all. Now I'm getting a grip, I'm getting a firmer grip. 2 and 5. And then 2 and 7. And then 2 and 11. 2 and 11. After that, if pick up 2, it becomes 3 and 5. It becomes 3 and 7. It becomes 3 and 11. Then I have 5 and 7. 5 and 7. I have 5 and 11. Paka, all is well. I might have missed out something. I mean, as I said, like I'm a very naive guy. 2, 3 and 5. Then 2, 3 and 7. Then 2, 3 and 11. That's one combination. Then 2, 5 and 7. And then I have 2, 5 and 11. Right? So 2, 5 and 7, 2, 5 and 11. Then I'll have 2, 7 and 11. I would have 2, 7 and 11. Look at 2, 3, 5, 2, 3, 7, 2, 3, 11. 2, 5, 7, 2, 5, 11. 2, 7, 11. Now leave out the 2. Look at the 3. I can have 3, 5 and 7. I can have 3, 5 and 11. Right? Done? 3, 5, 7, 3, 5, 11. Now we can leave it. I can have 5, 7 and 11. So how much have I done now? Let's just have a small calculation. I have 5 here. I have 4 plus 9 here. I have 14. Here I have another 9. So 23. Now we need to make a 4 combination. How do you make 4 combination? 2, 3, 5 and 7. Then 2, 3, 5 and 11. Next 3, 5, 7 and 11. Cool. Anything else? 4 and 4. And 2, 3, 5, 7, 2, 3, 5, 11. 3, 5, 7, 11. 2, 3, 7, 11. Sorry. 2, 3, 7, 11. There's one more there. 2, 3, 7, 11. Let me put it over here. Nothing wrong. 2, 3, 7 and 11. So how much do I have here now? Write down as a situation. Okay, 4. So 9 plus 4, 9 plus 9, 18. 18 plus 9, 27. 4 is missing. Okay, hold on. One more is there definitely. It's going to be 2, 3, 5, 7 and 11. All 5. So I am missing a couple of things. How much am I missing? I am missing 19. 2 more. Right? 2 more is missing. Let's find out. 2, 3, 2, 5. Right? 2, 3, 2, 5, 2, 7, 2, 11. 3, 5, 3, 7, 3, 11. 5, 7, 5, 11. So maybe in the 4, let's check it out. 2, 3, 5, 11. 2, 3, 5, 11. So 2, 3, 5, 7, 2, 3, 5, 11. 2, 3, 7, 11. 2, 5, 7, 11. 2, 5, 7, 11. Okay, so this means I have 5 here. So 18, 28 and here 129, right? So 10, 19, 18. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Relax, relax. Okay, 18, 28, 29. 2 more missing. 2 more missing. 2 more missing. Okay, make 3. Check out the 3 combinations. I think we are missing the 2 or 3. I know. I'm just focusing. Just hold on. Just give me a minute. Okay. Coding is going to take very less time. Understanding is going to take a lot of time. So we missed out to whichever number. Okay. 2, 3, 2, 5. Hold on. See that. 2, 3, 2, 5, 2, 7, 2, 11. Done. With 3, 3, 5, 3, 7, 3, 11. Done. 3, 5, 3, 7, 3, 11. Done. With 5. Oh my God. See that. You have missed out 7 and 11. You have missed out 7 and 11. So you got 10 here. Got 10 over here. Fine, Paka. So now you got 10 and which means you have 10, 20, 30. One more missing. Okay, 235, 237, 2311. And then, okay, hold on here, 235, 237, 2311. 257, 257, 2511. Okay, 257, 2511, 27, 257, 2511. 257, 2511. And then 23, hold on, 235, 237, 2311, 237, 2311, 237, 23, yeah, 235, 235, 237, 2311. So with 2 and 3, the first component. With 2 and 5, 257, 2511. Done. Okay, I hope that is done. With 2, all is done. With 3, 357, 3511. 357, 3511. Done. And 5711. So one thing is missing. I don't know what here. What am I missing here? Okay, let me use my fingers. 5, 7, 11. 2, 5 and 11 is there. 2, 3, 11 is there. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. So Sridhar, focus. 2, 3, 5, 2, 3, 7, 2, 3 and 11. So with this 2, all 3 is done. Now with 2 and 5, 7 and 11. 2 and 5, 7 and 11 is done. Okay, with 2 and 7, 11 is done. Pakka. Now you take up the 3. 3 and 5 and 7 is there. 3 and 5 and 11 is there. Done. Now 3 and 7 and 11. 3 and 7 and 11 is missing. Relax, no problem. See, I am once again, my job is not to complete it in 1 hour, but though I'll complete it in 1 hour. Now, once we have done this, you look at it, I don't think I need to find all the factors. Find only the prime factors. And then apply the formula. Over. Pakka, all of you, got it? Don't generate all the factors. Generate only the prime factors. And when you have 4, okay, fine, we'll find out. We have 4 and here we have 7. All you have to find out. 2, 3, 5. There are 3 prime numbers, 3 prime factors. Cool? Pakka? Fine? Good. Now let's go down and do some coding. So how many prime factors would be there? I do not know. So what we can do is we can just make an assumption. stdio.h. I'm not going to use, see, I'm making this very simple. This time I'm not going to use pointers, nothing. Because people wanted me to find the most simplest of the concept and do a coding. So the time is now, you would find that we have crossed 38 minutes. I'll keep it as 39 minutes. Just look at how much time it takes for calculation. Okay, I need to have a num. Okay, 10 to the power of 9, best is to have a long num. Okay, and I need to store all the prime factors. The prime factors, would that be long? Fine, nothing wrong. Prime factors. But I'm going to keep it as an array. How many, if you know prime numbers, actually multiplying the first 10 prime numbers itself will be huge. Okay, let me just show you. Let me show you a small demo on that. Okay, calculator. Look at this. I'll just say 2 into 3 into 5 into 7 into 11 into 13 into 17 into 19. How many I have? 2, 3, 5, 7, 19. 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, 13, 17 and 19. I have 8 numbers. Multiplied by 23, multiplied by 29. I have 10 prime numbers. Okay, I have 3, 6, 10 digits. So which means if I go further, they have said 10 to the power of 9, which means this is more than sufficient. If I have 10, that is more than sufficient. You need to work on the notebook. 10 is more than sufficient. Okay, let us just play safe. We'll keep 20. Okay, play safe, keep it 20. In case if you meet the interviewer, you can tell him why you chose 20. Pakka? Cool? Good. So we need to have one prime factor counter. We'll call this as prime factor counter. So for obvious reason, then you may be wondering, hey Sridhar, only 20 numbers. Yes, that's exactly I'm telling you. You don't need a long. I'm not saying you have the fear. It is more than sufficient. More than sufficient. One prime factor counter. So we'll have a prime, we will have the same way. Prime factors counter. Prime factors counter. Okay, cool. Perfect. Now for the num, this you need to understand. For prime, finding out the prime factors, what is the code we write? Okay, let me just explain that how we do it. Okay, now for example, let us say we'll just take 100. You do a L division. 100 by 2 gives you 50. Okay, no remainder. Once again, divide by 2. You have 25. No remainder. You would not choose 3 because it's not divisible. 5. No remainder. You will always choose a factor which is a prime factor. You will not be giving something which is going to be an error, right, Paka? So this is going to be 5. And 5 is the answer. And when do you stop? When you have 1. So you stop when the number becomes 1. Focus that. And what would you choose? You would choose only prime factors manually. But programmatically, I don't need to do. And we need the 2 and 5 only once. You can meet the 2 n times. Got the point? You can meet it n times. For example, if you have 10,000, there will be a lot of 2. I don't care. I need only 1. Remember this. We have to have the unique prime factors. Let's make that very clear. I want only the unique prime factors. Cool? Pakka? Good. So the code goes like this. Okay. For factors. Okay. I need to check whether something is a factor. So we'll have a check factor. Check whether he is a factor. Okay. For check factor will start with 2. For check factor starts with 2. Code is going to be very easy. 2. How long will you go? Look at that. Num less than 1. Or num not equal to 1. You stop at num even. What's check factor? Check factor will go 1 up always. Don't bother. Relax, don't bother. And if I have for example 2, focus please. Once I have check factor is equal to 2, if it is divisible, if my num modulo check factor is equal to 0. If I get a divisor, if I get a divisor, what am I going to do? He is a prime factor, so I'm going to store him in my area. So prime factors of prime factors counter is equal to the check factor. Focus. I have planned already. Okay. Now, in your equation, you may do it, for example, let's take for example, like one more example. I'll put it in the note over here. Let's say, for example, I'll take 1000. 2 divides 1000. Okay, once again, 2. Fine. Remainder is, there's no remainder, 500. Once again, 2 remain. 2 is the divisor. Answer is 250. Once again, 2 is the divisor. It's going to be 125. But do you need all the 2? No, I need only once. Rest of the time, I will just divide them and knock them off. Rest of the time I will divide them and knock them. So how, look at the code how I do it. Once you know it is 0, store it inside. After that, continually divide by him while this condition. As long as he is having any more 2's inside, kick every 2 or kick every prime factor out. What do? Num is equal to num by my check factor. Paka? Job done. So this goes and removes everything, and this has got to be incremented. Plus. Paka. That is all the codes. Done. Now you have all the prime factors with you. Trust me, this is all the codes. Now comes the situation. How do you apply the formula? Either you should have known, okay, when I'm talking about prime factors, let me just handle a couple of sessions for you. Couple of minutes of explaining whatever we learned in the school. Okay, let's take for example 100. Whatever we learned in the school, 100 can be written as 2 into 2 into 5 into 5. Okay, and do you know, with this prime factors, you can find out the total number of factors of 100. The total number of factors for 100 is 2 occurs 2 times, 5 occurs 2 times. So what do? 2 plus 1, 3. Focus please. 2 plus 1 here and 2 plus 1 here. 2 plus 1. What is it? 3. Multiplied by 3 gives you 9. 100 has got 9 factors. Go back to your school books, please. Go back to your school books. You will find that it is there. What I'm not teaching you. School has been teaching this. School has been teaching permutation and combination. And school has been taking summation of NCR. Okay. Now let us just have a look at it. See, I am a guy, you would find that like I have a bunch of people who help me in mathematics. But for me, I don't work like this. Okay, I work on patterns. Let me note down the patterns, whatever I saw here. Look at it. Okay, 15 and 4. So for 4 unique factors, okay, let me put it over here. At the end of that, okay, let me put it in code. For 4 unique factors, answer is 15. For 3, I got 7. Okay, and we just saw one more number, right? We just saw, look at this, 31. How many of them? 5. For 5 unique factors, the answer is 31. For 5, it is 31. Okay, and for 1, it is 1. Yes, for 6, 5, 8, 3, 6. You look at it, all of them have a uniformity. Okay, honestly speaking, you look at the website of, look at this, test cases are 20. Test cases 20 and 3 is the answer. 72, 3 is the answer. 2972970, 63 is an answer. Okay, let's note down some of the numbers which we do not have. 31 we have, 63 we don't have, right? I don't know how many prime numbers, okay, but at a point I will be able to tell you. Right now, just hold on, you will be able to tell me. 63 is the answer for some number. Don't bother about that. We don't bother about it. Okay, and then 31 we have, 63 we have, 31 we have, 63 we have, 255 and 31. 255. Very good. Like, you look at the answers, does it sound something alarming? 4 is 2 to the power of 4, 16 minus 1 is 15. 3 means 2 to the power of 3, 8 minus 1 is 7. 2 to the power of 5 is 32, minus 1 is 31. 1 means 2 to the power of 1 is 2, minus 1 is 1. Formula is summation of NCR is 2 to the power of n. Listen. summation is 2 to the power of n. But we don't want 1 here. Hence, we have to make it as 2 to the power of n minus 1. That is all. So, which means once you find the number of factors over here, you just say here, right? Just say here, printf. How do you find 2's powers? Focus once again. You don't have to make it complicated. Pakka, look at it. Left shift that. Okay, prime factors, counter times. Left shift, that is sufficient. And minus 1. That's all. In fact, actually speaking, you don't even have to store it. You don't even need an array to store it because you're not going to touch it. Blind counting is sufficient. Isn't it? Honestly speaking, that thought is coming up right now. Sridhar, if you are not going to use any of those things, why are you even storing them? Not required. Throw them away. Kick him out. I just want only the count. So this also not required. Look. Just one statement. Yes or no. That is all is required. Who told you programming is complicated? Who told you you cannot think? Time is 11:50. I'm still thinking. Tomorrow my team would know. When we discussed this, we did not have this at all. Let us test this out. Okay. So let us just test out some value what has been given by them. 290, 990, 700. Let us test this out before we become too happy for it. Num is equal to the value. Okay. Saved and run. Okay, now save and run. I think I have saved it. Let's run this and just see. Okay, this haha. You need to comment all of them. That's only for your working area. That is not a part of your C program. Answer is supposed to be 255, 255, 255. Answer is wrong because I have not initialized that to 0. Prime factor counter should start with 0. You make a mistake, obvious. Answer would be wrong. 255. Nailed it. And for our testing purpose, I have created enough amount of numbers. Let us not spend time on that. I have made it, ladies and gentlemen. I have made it. So all we need to do is open that and start using them. So I have worked. I do my homework. Test cases. So I have all of them ready. All we need to do is try these guys out. Control C, put it into a program and just test it. Okay. So I'll keep it. Okay, I can just keep it over here. Fine, no issues for me. Done. 20 numbers are there. So it is all in an array. So all we need to do is put it into a loop. I have 20 numbers. So let us just have, what is the name I had given there? I have given them test nums. Okay, which means test num counter. Okay, immediately I have one test num counter, comma, test nums ind. Okay, how many? I do not know. So I'm going to have one test num size. Nums size. Let's calculate that first of all. So test num size is equal to, always keep this same formula, size of the entire array and divided by one element or the data type. Divided by one element or the data type. Test nums of 0. Cool. Now the whole code has got to go into a loop. We have a counter for it. Test nums ind. So test nums ind is equal to 0. Test nums ind would be less than my test num size. Okay. Test nums ind plus plus. So the whole thing goes into a loop. But we have written a code for num. So all we have to do is feed that num with the array from the array element. Test nums of test nums IND. That's all. Okay? A Sridhar. Test nums IND. Cool. And the output now you would find that, let me just see, I'm altering the output because I wanted you to have a look at the number and the output. But please have a close watch at what TC has asked and accordingly you please answer. Okay. So percentage LLD. Don't even have a space. Remember, presentation error would happen. So here I would like to have test nums of test nums IND and comma the result. Let me have little spacing so that you would find that is much easier. And a backslash n. And a backslash n. Okay, now let us, this is with the test case also. So I'm just saying, no problem. The test cases. And run it. Okay, as usual. I think one parenthesis is missing. I think so. I didn't. Yeah, I think. Look at this for. Okay, we inserted, but we did not have its partner. So for has got to be ending over before return. Cool, that's all. So now let's run this and get it done. Okay. Now, yeah, what should be done? That focus. Thank you, Sridhar. I love you. Okay. This is a very, very important thing. Focus. Always do this here. Sorry, don't do this. Okay, don't do that. Always set the environment properly in for. Okay. For the first test num equal to IND, I give him prime factors is equal to 0. So for the next array element also, you will find I have to give him the same environment. For one input, for one dance team, if you provide one setup on the stage, for every new dance team which is coming onto the stage, give them a fresh stage. Don't give them a stage. For example, if somebody wants to come down and do one Western dance, don't give them a stage where it was used for a classical dance. It look awkward. You need to clean it. Same way. One input, one environment for every new input. Give a new environment. Perfect environment. Works. Okay. Time taken is 1.400 because of my compilation time also. Let me run it now. 0.070. And in fact, actually, I have taken some numbers which is much larger than what they have said. You can see 511. And look at all of them 2's powers minus 1. Go back to your theory, go back to your learning. You will find that whatever you learned in the school is going to be applicable somewhere in the future. Hence start reading your school books. Okay, next time when I come down, okay, actually I'm going to continue now. I'm just going to give you a minute of gap and then I'm going to continue. And what am I going to continue now? I'm going to continue. There were a couple of questions. So, as I said, we need to have a small patch on whatever has been happening earlier. Some of them have been asking questions about the difference between stack and heap. Why is it that when should you use stack? When shouldn't you use the stack? Because as I mentioned in the problem statement for Trine or for divine devices, if we are going to take up a huge array should never be taken in the stack. So it would be good in case we can understand the stack and heap. So I thought I'll just spend some time on explaining this. I hope this square free numbers is clear. Let's just do a very quick recap of that. Okay. So you can see the program is so small. Okay. The test case seems to be very high. I mean, the sense the number of lines seems to be much higher than the program. So this is one single line. That's all. I don't think there's anything else to be done. Okay, cool. So we tested on these 20 numbers, and once again, let us just run it before we wind up. Did I make any mistake? Run it once again. Cool. Okay. Good. Okay. I'm sorry, just compilation time alone. Good. So 0.080 seconds, much better than what TCS is expecting. So let's have a look at. I made it into a presentation, so let's just have a look at that. That would be nice. Okay, we can stop it actually. In fact, why? I can wait. Good. Okay, slideshow. Let's run it. FindMind fundamentally has a way of operating, dear participants. How do we operate? We split the session into two, rather three. A must know in any topic, even if it's going to be a simple if else, must know would be there. Definitely, what should be known for a candidate who is supposed to be operating with a simple if else, everything. Okay, then second, okay, special. Something good to know. How exactly is it working? Okay, then for example, I don't want to go in depth. You'll find that I'm going to look at the next one. So let's not deviate. Last one is a differentiator. Nice to know. So next few minutes, I'm going to make a differentiator, because what I saw when I was looking at all the feedback, all the comments, all the questions, there is a huge gap between what is reality and what is the assumption what students have been doing. Okay, now let me just show you how inside the memory, how would it be? Okay, so this is the kind of a memory map. I don't want to make a 100% perfect memory map. This is 90% perfect. Every single process what is being running inside the Windows memory, this is how it is going to be. Okay. And there are certain areas which I am ducking. Okay. That in fact you would find that what can you understand, what you cannot understand, depends on how much even I can explain. So comfortably I have ducked few things. I'm honest about it. Okay. Perfect. So what is the lowermost part? The code, which I don't think I'd have to explain anything. The program what we have written fundamentally is called as the code. Above that, we have constants. Like for example, if you would have used something for printf for example, I'll just show you. Don't bother. I'll do a demo, Paka demo. Okay, whatever we have stored for printing would be there. Data for initialization. Not all data. I always make it very simple. Anything which your CPU cannot do in an instruction has to be done by us. For example, a CPU can initialize a character. The CPU's instructions have been created to initialize integers, but it is not created to work with strings or array. That case, you would find that array initialization, I have to store the data, and then during runtime, there would be a code that would be helping us to do the array initialization. That would be given by the compiler. We don't have to bother about it. Next, float initialization. Now that float value also cannot be done by the CPU's instructions. Right from the beginning, their architecture has been on float value have been handled by a coprocessor. That is maintained internally the same way, but it looks as though the CPU is performing everything. It is easier for them because you would find that there is an expert who is handling it. Why unnecessarily disturb him? Okay, this would be something very shocking, but do not bother. I will help you. Above that, we have unblocked identifiers. What do you mean by unblocked identifier? Any identifier which is not within a curly brace will be called as unblocked identifier, commonly called global variables. Okay. If I have to use the word global here, then I need to explain why is that called global. Hence, I am ducking it. Normally, we prefer the unblocked identifier. A blocked identifier is an identifier which is within a curly braces. An unblocked identifier is an identifier which is not within curly braces, it's not bound, paka. And static identifiers, because these guys automatically get initialized. That is why they are here. Not only that, look at it. These guys get memory right from the first nanosecond the program starts. And they get automatically initialized. Who? The unblocked identifiers and the static. These guys naturally get an initial value as 0, even if you don't initialize them. And these guys will stick on as long as your program is going to be live. Okay, next, heap. This is used for dynamic memory allocation. During runtime, we can use, remember, the memory managers available are malloc, realloc, and cloc and free. Now, the opposite, you will find that you have a stack. Look at from the topmost. Parameters to main through command line. There are 3 types of parameters. They would be there. Once again, I'm not going to explain because that will take another 1 hour for me to explain what are the parameters, how does it come down. Local variables of main. That is, whatever is within the curly braces of main would be there. From that particular point downwards, it becomes stack. So the stack and heap should not meet. Okay. Now, heap fundamentally is a memory managed by the operating system. It is kind of huge. I don't want to go inside, but stack is restricted. Stack is restricted. Okay. Once again, that will become too much for me to explain because fine, whatever I want to explain, even you would find that I'm going to show us some demonstration that might be, I'm not going to say it's going to be a little difficult to stomach, but you need focus. You need focus. Anything, because for example, I see people coming down and commenting. Fine, as I said, like people walk in, fine, he just shows me a couple of code and he walks off. Fine, I don't want that to happen. Let's have mutual due respect here. Okay. So let us just do a small demo of whatever we have shown. And normally you would find that this is low address and this would be high address. Okay. But in any other architecture, if this is going to be the top end is going to be low and this is going to be high, there isn't anything harm. Fine. But predominantly you would find that architecture would be like this. Okay. There may be subtle differences in terms of operating system. Unix might have its own way of working, but I can give you a guarantee. For example, we will not go back and do any sort of research unless and until there's a demand for it. We would keep improvising. We would not stop. There is nothing called perfection. We keep improvising. But this architecture, trust me, is at least 35 years old. How am I sure? Right from the day I stepped inside, I'm able to see this. And hasn't changed. Cool. Okay. Now let us go down and do a small demo of whatever you should know. So I have picked up, I've written a small program, in C. Okay, you can keep it till I come back. Okay, it's a very small C program. Okay, char ch, short int small. I wrote it in Turbo C so that I can just show you the clean short int and long int. Short int across the platform, it is 2 bytes. Understand? Short int across platform, it is 2 bytes. And long int across platform, it is 4 bytes. Float fnum. And I have an array getting initialized. Clear screen. Ch is equal to m. Please keep your ears wide open. Please keep your ears wide open. Ch is equal to m is possible for my microprocessor, which means have that processor instruction straightforward. Next, small equal to 100. My microprocessor can do. So straightforward, put it in instruction. You don't have to store 100. Please keep your ears wide open. I'm making it. My microprocessor is designed to hold the instruction and the data together for ch is equal to m. So I don't have to store m elsewhere. Listen carefully once again. Ch is equal to m. My microprocessor is designed to hold along with the instruction, the M. So M need not be stored elsewhere. Small equal to 100. My microprocessor can hold 100 as a part of the data in along the instruction. So 100 need not be stored elsewhere. Large is equal to 1 lakh. My microprocessor can do it, so it need not store elsewhere. Fnum is equal to 12.34567 if my microprocessor is not designed to handle this. Hence, 12.34567 has to be stored. Look at this. I have clearly said float initialization. Okay. And then also array initialization. Two things you would find that this data should be there, not as a part of instructions. Right? I'm repeating once again. Whatever my microprocessor can do, do. If he can't do, you do. That's all. So here CH is equal to M, microprocessor can do. Straightforward. Small equal to 100 can be done. Large equal to 1 lakh, he can do. Fnum equal to 12.34567 has to be stored elsewhere, and separately you will find he has got to be pulled into a identifier Fnum. Same case, days in months, there are 12 of them, 31, 28, 31, 30, 31, 30, all the 12 values has to be stored elsewhere and has to be pulled in during the execution time. Okay, this I need to show you. Okay, don't bother. I'm going to show you assembly code. Don't run away. Let me help you. Okay, are you able to see 31, 28, 31, 28, 31, 28, 31, 38? Good. Which means what Sridhar said was right. 31, 28 is stored over here. But why is there a 0? The difference is dB stands for defined byte. So here it is 2, is a short integer, 2 bytes. That is why 31, 0, 2 bytes. 28, 0, 2 bytes. 31, 0, 2 bytes. 30, 0, 2 bytes. So totally all what you see on the left screen inside a program is also there in the assembly. This is exactly same thing has been assembled. So I am showing you straightforward is what I told you was right. Data for initialization, array initialization kept separately, not during your execution. Okay, good. Next, float initialization, that also, yes, that also has to be kept separately. Where is that? Let me just show you that. Relax. Let me show you. You need to trust me. Minus 35, minus 121. EA is 12.34567. You won't trust me? I'll prove it. No problems. I would like to actually be challenged. In the sense, I want to have a proof that is all. I mean, it is not that like I'm not saying we are the ultimate people. No, we take a lot of effort to make you understand. Okay, good. Now, before we step inside, let me just have a look at, don't try to understand, please. Whatever I show you, you just see this. See this. CH is equal to M. This is the instruction that does that. M is 77. Check it out if you want to. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M. 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77. Same finger will pop up. M. Small equal to 100. Along with the instruction, I have 100. Large is equal to 1 lakh. In 2 instructions, it is done. That is all. You want to count it? 65536 plus 34464 is 1 lakh. You can note it down if you wish to. But when it comes down to Fnum, look at it. Don't bother. You don't see 12. Keep it as simple. I am not seeing 12.34567, which means there is a small catch. A small catch. And this is what it is. This is what it is. You don't trust me? No problems. I'll show you. I'll show you. 12.34567. If you want, you can just know, you can, it's IEEE 75 standard. And the hexadecimal representation of that is 414587DD. 414587DD. I have used a calculator. I have used my calculator. Okay. I'm not using anybody's calculator. And just enter those values. What values? 414587DD. So let me just say I'm going to enter hexadecimal. Okay. 414587DD. Pakka? All is well. So I have taken this entire bit form. I say copy this. Okay, entire bit form I want to copy it. So I'm just saying copy it. Cool. Okay. And in the notepad I have entered. If you want, I'll do it fresh, not a problem. I'll enter it once again. Okay. Cool. Enter. Splitting them into 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Go. Okay. Fine. Cool. Now, let's look at this value. This is 65. Don't trust me? Look at it. This is 1, 2's powers. 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64. What is 64 plus 1? 65. What is 65? A. Okay. What is this? 64. Just now we saw. Okay. This is 4. 64 plus 4? 68. Plus 1? 69. A, B, C, D, E. 65, 66, 67, 68, 69. This is E. Next, what about this? Once again, I will prove only from the net. I know that the value what I am saying is right, but you might not trust me. But let us just have a look at what did he tell me. He tells me it is minus 35 and minus 121. Let us find out from the web. What is minus 121? Look at it. 100,011. 100,011. 100,011. 100,011 is minus 121. And this, he says minus 35. I don't know. Let's go and check it out. If I say what is the minus 35 bit pattern, calculate. He tells me 1101 1101. Okay, I'm sorry. Look at it. 1101 1101 is minus 35. Gentlemen and ladies, there is no drama here. Exactly what everybody says. So this is 12.34567. So what I did was right. Constants have to be stored and reused. And the most important thing is, which I don't want to have everything on. This is going to be, this is read only. This area is read only. Which area? This area is read only. This is read only. You cannot write. In assembly, it will be called as a text area. People who have been from CSE department, ID department, fine. If you have been remembering, it would be called as a text area, and it is not writable. Cool. So let's understand the stack and heap are two different things. Stack is, why is it called stack? Because you would find that organized way of using it. If I use stack, if I, for example, purpose A, purpose B, purpose C, purpose D, only when purpose D is complete, I will go back to C. Purpose C is complete, I'll go back to B. Purpose B is complete, I'll go back to A. But heap, it is not that way. I can just buy memory. First time here, A gets, B gets, C gets, D gets. I can give off B, and that chunk is there, fine, free, available. That is why it's called as a heap. Heap is not organized. Stack is organized. Well named. When you see as a heap, we just see the heap what normally we see on the road. No, it is heap because it is not organized. It is stack because it is organized, and it is organized the same way how a stack would work. What do you mean by stacking? If I have 10 books, heavy books, talking about say maybe Encyclopedia Britannica, 10 books lying one on the other. Nobody dares to pull down the first book, the lowermost book. Best is on the top. So if you access the area, that is called as stack. And stack is limited, and heap is much larger. We show the demo in our class. For generating prime numbers. You have it inside the stack, program will crash. The moment you move it outside, it will start working. Beyond 10 lakhs, we have seen that n times. When you touch 10 lakhs, you will find that program crashes. Why? Because it is going to be buying memory in the stack. The moment you move it outside, the moment you keep it outside the curly braces, it starts working. So let's respect. You should know when to use stack, when to use heap. Smaller memories, perfectly stack. Okay, and it is fast. You are straightforward, you use it. But if it is heap, you always reference it. Hence, it will be little slow. Compared to a stack, but still it's fine. Paka, see, this is all I can do in terms of given 20 minutes. That is all I can do. I have to do justice to the time too. Summarization. This is how a memory would be. This is the memory map of a program in its running state. The lowermost part would be having code, and above that we have constants and data for initialization. What else will be there? Anything stringed codes will be a constant. For example, if you have printed a message, okay, good morning, or print of, for example, percentage, the value is percentage D. Constants, all of them would be available here. Every one of them would be available here. And data for initialization. I showed you right in front of you. Array to be initialized. Values are maintained. Float. Values to be maintained. Why? I cannot embed it along with the instruction. Okay. And the top parameters to main, and then local variables of main, and from that point onwards, it would start using stack. It will come down. Stack will grow down, and heap would grow up. And in between, I showed you unblocked identifiers and static identifiers. What do you mean by unblocked identifiers? Identifiers who is not within curly braces is unblocked. Static, fine, which you have used the keyword static in front of that. Static int num, fine. If you are used, it's a static variable. Normally used inside functions to retain the values. Perfect. So this is what I want to do once again. So I'll meet you on Sunday once again. So tomorrow's session is going to be for 1 hour and around 25 minutes. I'm finding it a little difficult to say no for the coding. Okay, everybody says give us the code. I have given my answer to that. I might give it depending upon certain conditions. Okay, I'm not talking about laying a condition, talking about our situation, whether to give it or not. We are not still convinced. I stand on one area. I don't want to give code. You can ask me any doubts anytime, I'll explain. Fine. So if you have any specific doubt, please give me a message, or you can send. Two people had sent me. I'm sorry, the first person who had sent the mail, honestly, I searched and I was not able to get it. But second person who had sent, I had sent it back to him after correction. I promised I did. Okay, it's like first one, I'm sorry, I'm in the hunting. I'm as much as possible, I'll try to be honest. I'm not saying I'm Mahatma Gandhi, though I'm little 4 days elder to him. He was born on, no, younger to him. He was born on October 2nd. I was born on October 6th. Years differ. I'm much, younger than him. Okay, fine, good. So I'll see you on Saturday morning or respective time. I would meet you. Fine, it may be in the morning or in the afternoon or in the evening. Fine. And most probably Monday you might have a combined session, because I'm going to do a small demo in terms of how do we collaboratively work. Okay, I will pick up a problem statement. I've decided I've picked up a problem statement which I might have difficulty. So I'll call some of my people, my team members, friend around. So I'll call them to join me. How do we work together? How do we discuss? How do we fight out ideas, so that you would find that how does a problem get solved in 1 hour? Most probably, see, till this point, all problems what I have taken is just simple ones. Why? Okay, except for the prime fibo, except for that, everything is only simple ones we have taken. Because the qualifier round is going to be only pretty simple. Even if you have one round earlier to that, that also will be simple. Our objective is for you to gain confidence. Down after Monday, you would find that we will launch a course. And in that course, it's going to be at least solving 15 to 20 problems. That would be a mix. We will solve simple problems, average problems, and difficult problems. Fine. And we are inviting industry experts. We are inviting industry experts to come down and address that particular batch. Of course, I would be the course faculty. My team would be supporting. Along with that, I'm inviting a person who have been working in, I won't tell you right now, in a very interesting personality. Okay, fine. So I'll catch up, and you can leave your comments in the next 1 minute. So we'll be open. Fine. Thank you very much.